Today's video, I'm going to share some information about Atma or soul, the scientific proof of that. My name is Dr. Mukesh C. Chauhan. What is Atma? What is Atma? What is a soul? Some of the religions seem to swear by it. Yet, scientists can't find any proof about Atma. Where is Atma hiding? Why isn't there any visible proof about Atma? There is Atma. There should be sooner or later some proof about it. Well, that's one of the subjects I'm going to be discussing today, about the basics about Atma. There's a wealth of knowledge which only I can reveal as we go along in either any practical discourse or any conference, because then I'll have a lot more slides, which I have, which I will want to bring it into the equation. On a short video, an introduction video, it's just important to mention some basic salient points about Atma. Do remember, scientists have searched for it, they can't seem to find it. Does that mean it doesn't exist? If you're not looking at the moon, does that mean it doesn't exist? It does exist, except you can't see it. So Atma does exist. I got my knowledge about Atma. I always used to believe in Atma early on from the world's spiritual father called Shiva. I got a wealth of knowledge at a very young age. I always used to believe in Shiva, or worship of Shiva, who I used to think was God in those days in London. Shiva was my founder of the knowledge and giver. Every time and daily I meditated, I used to meditate on Shiva in those early founding years, before I had found God, or before I had found Creator, I should say. Creator, I found after a 14 years search. But before that, I was worshipping Shiva as the God. I didn't know in those days, because Shiva does say he's God in virtually all the religions, certainly in Hinduism. But that I discovered is wrong. Shiva is not God. Shiva is our world spiritual father. Just like we have world spiritual mother, who also gives him knowledge, beautiful knowledge about DNA, Shiva gives knowledge about Atma. You can use the combination of those two knowledges to rise higher, to see God. To see Creator, you will definitely need knowledge of human consciousness. Consciousness is the key. So when you're talking about Atma, you really don't have the full knowledge of consciousness. And if you have knowledge of Atma, you'll still suffer in life. So even if you are Atma nirbhar, you won't be complete. There'll be limitations in you spiritually, mentally, and physically. And need to be powerful in all three aspects. So Atma, the most important point to mention about Atma is the maker of Atma is different from the Atma itself. The maker of Atma is different from the Atma itself. The maker of soul is different from the soul itself. That's a very important point to remember. Question which beholds you, the viewer, is who has made Atma? Who has made Atma? Then when was it made? So Atma is only part of the story. about human consciousness. You need the full consciousness to be alive and kicking and enjoy the life in its full glory. The maker of Atma has been completely covered up on earth by worldly religions. This is a true statement. And the knowledge giver of Atma proclaims himself as the God, which people believe. And therefore they have that mindset which pertains to that particular level of belief, and then develop their perceptions based on that belief, which then becomes impregnated in their consciousness, which then becomes very difficult to change. So there's so many things you need to be aware of. Why is Atma visible? I've discovered the science of that. Why is Atma invisible? What is the value of Atma in life? What is the structure of Atma? What is Atma made up of? How do the different aspects of the structure of Atma relate with you in your real life? If you say to yourself, I'm a knowledge of Atma, or I believe in Atma, that doesn't mean you're living in Atma. To talk about Atma is one thing. To live practically inside through the value of the Atma, what is inside Atma, is a different ball game altogether. And in my opinion, most people are theoretical gymnasts. They talk about the superficial aspects about it, but they won't talk about the deeper aspects, mainly because they don't have this knowledge. So the impressions which you build up in life will be congruent with your thoughts, with your mindset. And those in turn will manifest over a period of time as your reality. But not everything will manifest as your reality. Why is that? So, structure. There is a structure to Atma. There is a scientific structure to Atma. There is a designer who has designed this. When a human being dies, the designer can take away and does take away your Atma. Who is that? That is not Shiva. Shiva does not take away your Atma. Remember this. Entire India is swimming in this false knowledge. Shiva cannot change laws of nature. These are some of my discoveries. What is the scientific structure of Shiva? What is the scientific structure of Shiva? You need to think a little bit deeper about this. So you need to imbibe the virtues of Atma, but first trying to do introspection and getting to discover your Atma. That's your first step. If you don't get into the first step about your Atma, you'd really be fishing in the dark. You'd be more like hearsay knowledge, even with the actual practical knowledge which you need to have. One is theoretical knowledge, the other is practical knowledge and practical experience of it. How do you know if somebody has knowledge of working from Atma? If they have knowledge and they are practicing that, you will see it the evidence of it in their practical life. You'll see evidence of it in their practical life. That is the beauty of it. I know many, many people who talk about Atma, but they're all part of an organization, and their virtues are very different from Atma. So there are a wide variety of people on earth, and every mind is different, and every mindset is different. But if you really imbibe the true divine virtues of Atma, then you'll be a living embodiment of love and truth and happiness, appreciation, joy. That doesn't mean you'll attract everything automatically in life. You'll have to work for it. If you don't have the full structure of consciousness, then you will be limited. Then you'll be struggling in life. And this is what happens when I went beyond Shiva after discovering Creator. And I went beyond Shiva after I met God. And then I got more detailed knowledge about some of the deeper aspects of life, which have been completely covered up everywhere. So most certainly in India. And it certainly has been completely corrupted in India with the knowledge in scriptures. So you have to be discerning about what you read as well. And discerning and testing and validating what you read about, hear about, before you make it your belief and mindset. Okay? So this is just a brief introduction on the Atma or soul, which is present inside every human being. And you can see it. And to explain the technique of seeing Atma is a separate subject, which I will deal in another video or maybe in a practical lecture with my slides. Anybody who believes or wants to know more about it, one of the questions, the key questions they should ask is, who was the designer who has made the beautiful Atma? Who is the designer who conceived of the plan of Atma? Then you are getting into nitty-gritty about the source of Creator. Then you can get help. And the light of Atma, which you can see, is made. But you need to understand some quantum science to appreciate what I'm saying. Okay? Atma should be the baseline of your life from which you can start being in the present moment. Awareness of the present moment. You need to be aware. Who am I? Who am I? If you're like me, and there's a grain of scientist in you, who want to discover more secrets about that, and you will, take my word for it. The infinity of Creator controls everything, and every consciousness knows when you have these thoughts. You will receive beautiful instincts or intuition or sixth sense to help you, guide you, motivate you, inspire you in your journey, if you are prepared to make the journey. The journey is not easy. The journey is not easy, but it's well worth pursuing. Look what I've discovered in my epic journey, now 28 years. Okay? Thank you. And don't complain when you have problems. These are part of life. Accept it. Just face them and move on. Continue to soldier on. So I hope you find these useful. If you have any questions or comments, please come back to me. Good day. God bless.